Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL week number 3 picks and predictions, where I go through every single NFL game predicting the final score, beginning with the Amazon Prime Thursday night game. We've got the Giants. Very strange start to the season for the Giants. They were outscored 60-0 in the first 6 quarters. They come back and beat the Cardinals. Probably going to be without Saquon Barkley for this game. That's why the line is 10.5. You've got a San Francisco team. Did not cover the spread last week against the Rams. They did win, but without Saquon Barkley, with how this Giants team has started, Daniel Jones, the turnovers on the road at an elite defense, it's going to be very hard for the Giants to win this game. I think San Francisco improves to 3-0. They moved to 2-1 against the spread. 10.5 is a brutal number, not a great one. I had a lot more trust last week in Minnesota covering their spread against Philadelphia than I do San Francisco, but still, I'm not sure how anyone could take the Giants outside of saying, well, I mean, it is the NFL. Weird things happen. Who knows? It's not like Brock Purdy's a world beater, but still, San Francisco's just so much more talented at this point, especially with the Giants and the Saquon Barkley injury. Moving on to the 1 o'clock window, it is the Cleveland Browns. I'm not exactly sure on this point spread right now. Well, yesterday it was -4 with the Nick Chubb injury. And oh my goodness, that game last night, Browns-Steelers, was just crazy. Nick Chubb, they're saying he's definitely out for the year. That one is a really bad one. I don't know if it's going to affect his career, but he was looking great early. I think he had 64 yards through the first quarter and a half. The Browns were going to win that game if Nick Chubb didn't get hurt. But guys, the Browns, what is going on with Deshaun Watson? Because last year you can say, well, he struggled, whatever. He was coming back. He was rusty. But it's like at some point Deshaun Watson has to prove he's an elite quarterback. It's like he'll make a great play and then he'll have 3 bad plays. The Browns, they're -3.5, maybe -4. The Titans play literally every game close. Win or lose, every game with the Tennessee Titans is close. Ryan Tannehill, he is what he is at this point, but I do think the Browns have a loaded defense. The Browns are going to get a defensive touchdown in this game. It's going to be a lower scoring game. Maybe Denzel Ward pick 6, Myles Garrett, Greg Newsome. Someone on that defense will make a huge play. And for once, the Titans will not cover the spread. So they're 2-0 against the spread. The Titans are due to not cover, guys. This is how the NFL works. It ebbs, it flows. The Browns cover this spread in a lower scoring game. Another 1 o'clock game. It is the Falcons at the Lions. The Detroit Lions, very fun football team. Very fun team. I said, listen, I think the Lions get upset last week against Seattle. I was right. Now they're sitting -4 against an Atlanta team. Oh my goodness, Atlanta is 2-0 right now. They're due for a loss. The Atlanta Falcons are due for a loss. I'm not exactly sure whether Detroit will cover this spread because they do seem to play a lot of higher scoring games, but I do love parlaying the Detroit Lions money line with other teams. I am very confident the Lions will win this game. Again, -4 is iffy because the Lions tend to give up a lot of, yards and points. And I will say the Atlanta Falcons did have an offensive explosion against Green Bay. Normally, Green Bay is a good defense, and they gave up like 450 yards. Bijan Robinson looks like the best running back in the NFL. He's a superstar already, but give me Detroit at home. Jared Goff last week, the demoralizing pick 6, he comes back and they win this game, possibly by 3 or more. Next, we've got the New Orleans Saints traveling to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers. Green Bay sitting -2, although we'll have to see what the updated line is after the Monday night game. Derek Carr really struggled, but I do like this New Orleans Saints team. They seem to be a complete team. They've got a solid defense. They've got Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, good receiving core. And I think there's great value on New Orleans to march into Lambeau and win a game. The Packers defense really disappointed me last week. They let me down. Jordan Love is a solid game manager right now. We'll give him credit for that. But I will take New Orleans on the road. You can say, oh, it's not in a dome. It's going to be tough. But it's early in the season, Lambeau Field in September. It's going to be 70 degrees, partly sunny. I checked the weather report for this one because I wanted to make sure it was 100% accurate. And that's why I'm going in on New Orleans, maybe a little bit of an upset. This game really should be a pick 'em. Maybe it should be New Orleans -1. I just think New Orleans is better at this point than Green Bay. And we know Jordan Love is going to have a meltdown one of these games. He's a young quarterback. He's going to have a meltdown. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. Maybe it's this game. The next 1 o'clock game, it is the Denver Broncos traveling to a warm weather climate. The game of the week at Miami. This Denver Broncos team, it's been demoralizing. They're 0-2. This last game, they were up by a lot. They end up losing to Sam Howell. What's going on with their defense? Miami, they're 2-0. Everyone loves them. They've gotten off to a great start. The game against the Patriots, I will say, there were a few moments I thought the Patriots might come back in the second half. They are -7 in this game, but guys, we understand this is the NFL. Weird things happen. You've got a Denver Broncos team, Russell Wilson, Marvin Mims, Jerry Jeudy. This team is loaded offensively, and they're a lot better than their record says they are. And by the way, when you look at this Miami team, let's not anoint this team too early. This is a young team. They don't know how to handle success. They're going to come into this game. They think it's an easy win. They're facing an 0-2 team. It's the NFL. These teams come back down to earth quickly. I think there's great value on the Denver Broncos money line. Hard Rock Stadium. It's not amazing in terms of home field advantage, so I think Denver's not going to have a big issue there. Maybe we get a weather delay in this game. We know the Lightning down in Florida this time of year. I do think there's actually going to be a weather delay in this game. Yeah, because I saw the weather report, and there's massive lightning strikes around 1 o'clock on Sunday. But guys, I do love Russell Wilson. Trust Russell Wilson in this game. Trust Marvin Mims. This Denver Broncos team, they're loaded. They've struggled early. We get it. But they're going to come back. They're going to win this game and improve to 1-2. The next game, it is the Chargers at Minnesota. So this is definitely a storyline game, right? It's a pick'em. Both of these teams have started off their seasons way worse than expected. Whoever loses this game, oh my goodness, both of these teams sitting 0-2. Chargers have lost close games. And here it is, the law of averages. It is a pick'em. And guys, I'm going with Kirk Cousins at home in a shootout against Justin Herbert. And the Chargers will fire their head coach after this game. It's a storyline game. The Chargers are on the verge of doing it already. They're going to fall to 0-3. This season's going to be kind of a wash for them with Justin Herbert on that rookie deal. It is sad to see for them, but you've also got Joey Bosa. I know he was banged up last week. He played. They're dealing with some injuries. Austin Eckler still hurt. Minnesota, they know they need this game. Minnesota, they get the win 30-27 there. Another 1 o'clock game. It is the Patriots sitting -2 on the road at the Jets. The Patriots very desperate for this game. Bill Belichick and his defense against Zach Wilson, guys. We saw Zach Wilson last week against Dallas. It's just not pretty. It's not pretty at all. And here's an equilibrium game for you. We're going to take the New England Patriots to win 21-17. They will cover a slight 2-point spread. I've seen it's gotten bet up to 2.5 in other places. Wherever you get it, I do like the Patriots to win this game outright. I like moneyline parlaying the Patriots with other teams as well against the Jets team who, listen, we know the Jets have a great defense. They're going to be at home. It's going to be very tough sledding for Mac Jones. We get it. But Zach Wilson, well, you know what? I don't know. Zach Wilson at home with Garrett Wilson, maybe that's a connection that can develop. It's going to be a close game for sure, but I will take the more desperate team, the New England Patriots, to win this one and cover the 2-point spread. Next, we've got an interesting AFC-NFC matchup, the preview of the Super Bowl. It is Buffalo on the road at the Washington Commanders at FedEx Field. Buffalo sitting basically a touchdown favorite. They got back on track last week. Josh Allen, the 3 touchdown passes. And how about the Commanders coming into this game red hot 2-0? They are due for a loss, ladies and gentlemen. They're due for a loss. Kind of a weird score, 29-24. I personally do not have a lot of faith betting Buffalo -6.5 or Washington +6.5 because I originally had this game at 29-21. So, I mean, who knows? I do think moneyline parlaying Buffalo to win this game is probably a good call because I just can't see the Commanders starting 3-0 beating Buffalo at home. The other thing you have to remember with the Commanders, in their first 2 games, number one, their first game was against Arizona. So, it's a win, but Arizona's the worst team in the NFL, and they had to come back, and they didn't even cover the spread in that game. Number two, they came back against Denver. They were down by 3 scores in that one as well. So they've come back in their 2 wins. I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just saying it's not like they've been overly dominant, so I'll take Buffalo in that one. Another 1 o'clock game, it is Houston traveling to Jacksonville. So this is a standard get-right game for the Jaguars. They're sitting -9.5 right now. Houston, I look at that Houston roster, and C.J. Stroud's been so impressive, but they really don't have anyone. On defense, the offense, I guess you could say Nico Collins, Tank Dell, the young rookie, but that is a roster that really, I guess they do have Will Anderson, but he's a rookie, but there's just not a lot of talent on that Houston roster. So I think Jacksonville up early. Trevor Lawrence, after scoring 9 points at home, he's pissed off. Calvin Ridley goes for 140 in this game and a touchdown, and the Jaguars easily cover the 9.5-point spread. Next, we've got Indianapolis traveling outdoors to Baltimore. Indianapolis probably starting Gardner Minshew, but all is not lost, ladies and gentlemen. Gardner Minshew, even though Anthony Richardson, he's looked so good as a rookie, Gardner Minshew's a good player. You do have Baltimore, Lamar Jackson commanding this offense, doing everything right. Really impressive game at Cincinnati, turnover free, and they were able to win it. In this one, I do think it's going to be surprisingly close because this is the NFL. Gardner Minshew is a solid player. They do have a solid stable of receivers with Indianapolis, so I am going to take Indianapolis plus the 7.5. I believe Baltimore right now is 2-0 against the spread. They're due for a loss against the spread, so they will not cover this game, but I do have Baltimore winning yet again 24-22 over Indy. Moving out of the 4 o'clock window, it is Carolina traveling on the road at Seattle. So Seattle back on track with their offense last week. DK Metcalf a little banged up. We'll see about him. Carolina, it's tough, man. I mean, you've got Bryce Young. You're trying to get him playing time. They had a weird, Monday night game that started at 7:15, and their offense was completely grounded for the second week in a row. They really don't have a legitimate number one receiver at all for Bryce Young. It is a very similar situation to Houston. Like, they've got Adam Thielen. They've got Jonathan Mingo. Maybe he turns into something, but there's no legitimate receiver there because they traded DJ Moore. And I will take Seattle to win this game 26-20. I don't feel overly confident about them -4.5. Actually, you know what? I do think they cover that because they were really good last week. We'll see with the DK Metcalf injury, though. We'll see. Moving on to the 4:25 window. So they decided to make this like a marquee game. They thought the Bears were going to be better than this. Chicago at Kansas City. KC sitting -12.5 in this one. I think people are giving up on Justin Fields a little bit too early. When I look at Justin Fields, I see he's just one ball of muscle. He's a beast. And I understand people say, well, he can't read the field. Let's give Justin Fields a few more weeks before we call him completely done in the NFL. Give him a few more weeks. You have Kansas City -12.5. It's too big of a number. Justin Fields will get a rushing touchdown. He's going to use his legs. If you have a daily fantasy, I would start Justin Fields because he knows he's playing for his job right now. He's going to be running. He's going to get 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns against a Kansas City defense who, Kansas City, they were impressive last week. They got Chris Jones back. I understand it. I do think this could be a big garbage time opportunity game for the Chicago Bears offense. Kansas City, though, they're due for an offensive explosion. And even though they don't have a crazy number one receiver, you're going to see Travis Kelce coming back from that injury, didn't play a ton last week. He'll be playing more. They're at home. They're going to drop at least 30 points in this one. Mahomes, probably 3 touchdowns, no interceptions there. Another 4:25 game. It is Dallas traveling into the desert to take on the Cardinals. And apparently the roof is going to be open for this game, so it will be sunny on the interior of it. That's a big storyline to watch. Dallas sitting -12.5. And the analytics, once again this year, love the Cowboys. Look at the ESPN FPI. 88% chance to win. You're giving an NFL team an 88% chance to win on the road? Oh my goodness, these analytics with the Cowboys again. But yeah, Dallas is very impressive. And by the way, this is another storyline to watch. Arizona right now is 2-0 against the spread. They must be stopped at some point. They need to be stopped. They're gonna lose this game. They're not covering the 12.5. There's no way. They're tanking for Caleb Williams. Come on. You don't need to bring Kyler Murray back. Just tank, lose your games. And this Dallas Cowboys team, Dak Prescott, very efficient. Really well-built offense. The Dallas's defense is the best it's ever been in years. Micah Parsons turning it, well, he already is a superstar, but solidifying himself as a star pass rusher. Easy win for Dallas. Moving to the Sunday night game, this is basically a pick'em. I mean, it's the Steelers at the Raiders. Both of these teams very evenly matched. Maybe Pittsburgh sitting -1, but games like this, primetime pick'em games, you got to take the home team. There's too much value on the Raiders. They played horrible last week. They're coming back home. Raucous environment. Vegas at night. Allegiant Stadium at night. You can't beat something like this. This is great for the NFL, and this will be a big Jimmy G game. How about Josh Jacobs? Josh Jacobs has been terrible this year. 130 yards and a touchdown in this game, a few more catches. He will get back on track. He'll have a big fantasy day. George Pickens is breaking out for the Steelers. They will, score a bunch, 27 points, but I do have Las Vegas winning on a final kick, 30-27, and covering that spread there. And then moving on to the Monday night doubleheader. Kind of a weird situation they have with Monday night. The 7:15 game, it is Philadelphia sitting -5.5 at Tampa Bay. How about Tampa Bay? Baker Mayfield playing for his life in the NFL. He's 2-0. This Tampa Bay team, no, you need to lose games. You need to tank for Drake May. They're saying, screw it. Tampa Bay, they want to go to the Super Bowl. This Tampa Bay team, they think they're better than the Philadelphia Eagles. And I do think they cover the 5.5. This is a very similar game that Philadelphia played last week. I said Philadelphia was going to beat Minnesota. But, to cover a 7-point spread against a good Minnesota offense, that's just disrespectful. So I took Minnesota plus the 7, and they end up rewarding me. And this is a similar situation. Philadelphia will win this game, but Tampa Bay's simply been playing too good. Plus the 5.5 at home, you've got to take Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield plays great in prime time. He's going to show out on Monday Night Football in the 7:15 window. You got to be worrying about this game if you're the NFL. There could be a lightning delay. This is South Florida in September, but we will see. And then the final game of the week, it's the 8:15 primetime game. How about the Rams in Cincinnati? When is the last time they've traveled there? Who knows? You've got Puka, you've got Kyron Williams, you've got Matthew Stafford, and you've got a Cincinnati team. The big storyline, what is happening to Joe Burrow right now? What a weird situation. Joe Burrow gets kind of a, nippy little injury like 4 weeks before the regular season or whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever, just rest him in preseason. And now it's turned into this big storyline where he's not healthy. He's banged up again. He aggravated the injury. He might not play. We might get the Washington standout Jake Browning to start this game. Cincinnati sitting -2. I don't know who's starting for Cincy, but I do know that this LA Rams team and Sean McVay, they're very impressive, and I think they win this game outright 23-20. If Joe Burrow does play, certainly I would probably take Cincinnati, but it's just tough to know what is the current health status of Joe Burrow. Will they risk it? And if they don't risk it, it's almost like they're giving their season away, because if you start 0-3 in the AFC North, you can kind of come back from it, but it's brutal. So I will take the Rams to win that game outright. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for my NFL Week number 3 picks and predictions. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.